That's one up. All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the 330 Sports Show. My name is Justin Coffin. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day, 2021. It's also Super Bowl week. A little bit later on in the week, we're going to do a Super Bowl preview show that's going to be totally dedicated to the Super Bowl on Thursday. If you were just watching previously, we did a complete movie breakdown of the movie Groundhog Day. So that is going to be available on the Youngstown Studio Network pretty much anytime. So check that out. It was a lot of fun, and we really got into a lot of interesting details in that. Before we bring our guest on, I want to do just a couple like random news and notes from around the sports world. We'll get more into these on Thursday, but there's a big trade in the NFL. Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford pretty much flip-flopping spaces. Major League Baseball is deciding what to do with their schedule with the COVID stuff, but right now they're leaning on starting a 154 game schedule with an expanded playoff format, kind of like they did last year. Major League Baseball's best third baseman, Nolan Arenado, was traded to the St. Louis Cardinals from the Colorado Rockies. The Indians actually spent some money this past weekend and signed outfielder Eddie Rosario from the Minnesota Twins. That's actually a pretty good signing for the Indians. And then some sad news to pass along. John Chaney, who was a former Temple men's basketball head coach and Hall of Famer, passed away at 89. And then for anybody out there that watched Saved by the Bell, I was kind of a big Saved by the Bell person growing up. Screech, who played, his real name was Dustin Diamond. He actually passed away. He was only 44 years old. He had a form of cancer. So sad news to pass along there. Something else I would like to get into in another show that we weren't able to get into last week was the whole GameStop Reddit stock market stuff that happened. Some really interesting things that happened there. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday's show. So let's get into like the real show we had planned today. We have an awesome guest. She's from WFMJ right down the road here. She is a multimedia journalist. She is the 11 p.m. anchor.
Yes, newly that's
assigned.
The new role.
Yeah. So just a familiar face if you watch WFMJ. So I'd like to welcome Erin Simonek.
Hi, Justin. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for inviting me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming down. So you're not necessarily from Youngstown. You've been here now for what, about the past
it's like 9 months.
8 or 9 months. Okay. So
yes.
So you're really starting to get kind of familiarized with the community, and people
Absolutely.
Probably recognize you all around town. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, your history, like where you grew up, where you're from, basically how you got here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've called Northeast Ohio home my entire life. So I'm familiar with the area of Youngstown. I grew up in a suburb of Cleveland.
Okay.
So technically West Side. I grew up in North Royalton.
Yeah.
And so in high school, I started taking these broadcasting classes, journalism classes, which my high school I was fortunate that they offered things like that in a high school curriculum. And I really fell in love with speaking, presenting. And then also on the journalism side, I really fell in love with telling stories, interviewing people. And I decided from an early age, I would say about junior year of high school, that I wanted to take this on in a college career level.
Okay.
And so it was pretty easy for me to decide my school. I chose Kent State. I toured about my junior year of high school, I believe, around this time, actually around January, early February. And I really fell in love with Kent State's campus. I had like an impromptu tour of the journalism school. I saw all of their equipment, all of their classrooms, how equipped they were, learning about the facility. I just knew that it would be a good fit for me. And then I toured a few other schools throughout Ohio, ones that were accredited for journalism. And my decision was really easy, that I wanted to go to Kent. And so the past 4 years, I majored in broadcast journalism, and then my minor was public relations, which actually go really hand in hand together. And so there throughout college, I was really active in our student media station, TV2, It's completely student run, which is really amazing. And so I was a reporter. I also did weather, I anchored and I produced too. So I was able to do behind the scenes. And so there I worked my way up to be kind of the manager of the station. We called it the news director, but it was basically the student manager. And so fulfilling all those different roles, I really realized, hey, I really want to finish this out and start a career out of this. I put this much time into it by now, and investing into college, and I realized that I wanted to do it and I wanted to take this on as a career. And I was fortunate to intern up at a Cleveland station, their CBS affiliate up in Cleveland. And I did that for a few summers, worked in their, reporting with reporters, and then also their investigative department, which was really cool. And then they also trusted me to do, a little bit of online writing, taking calls, assignment desk, things like that. And so once I graduated college in May, I felt like I was prepared enough to start my career in reporting. And WFMJ kind of found me. They went to Kent's campus to kind of scout students and kind of see what they were looking for in new hires. And they found me, and I gave them my resume, and the rest is history. They called me in for an interview, and I really am falling in love with the Youngstown area. My family and I were very close. So for them to be an hour away up in Cleveland, that's also very nice. And I really feel like I found my home here. I mean, the community, as you know, is extremely welcoming, and my station is great. I mean, everyone's been great at WFMJ. So I feel very fortunate to be where I'm at.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I think, most people that, watch the news, whether they watch it every night or a couple of days a week, they sort of connect with those people that are on the news, and you become like, sort of the storyteller for them of what's going on in the community. So I think that's very relatable for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So you're kind of a baby. You're right out of college.
Yes.
Yes. So since graduation, but you said you kind of did this in high school too. North Royalton, you said?
North Royalton Bears. Yep.
Okay. So, what would you have told yourself at North Royalton or early on in your Kent State career that you've seen or know now that to maybe help you prepare yourself a little bit more?
I don't think I would really change anything. I think if anything, I would reassure myself, like, make sure that you continue to work hard, because journalism is a field where even a lot of my friends who I graduated with, they're still struggling to find work. Sure. And sure, it's 2021, it's the pandemic, but the people who really put in the work in college, and the people who really went above and beyond internships, extracurriculars, those are the people that have jobs in journalism right now. And obviously it's a field where I know a few friends, depending on what company they were trying to get hired for, they went on hiring freezes because of the pandemic. Sure. And so it's like, if you're not the best of the best, and especially with this pandemic, it's hard to get a job in the field. And so I don't think I would change anything, but the advice that I would give myself is continue to work really hard. And that's what I tell the younger students now that I'm still friends with, who I know from college still. There's nothing that will stop you from getting that job if you just continue to work for it.
That's great advice. I think that's great advice for really any job, really.
Not even in journalism, not even broadcast news. It's a tough world to get a job. Someone is always going to be better than you. And so you just have to continue to work hard for it.
Okay. All right, that's good advice. So can you take us through, well, we talked a little bit off air about your schedule and, like the hours and stuff like that, but can you take us kind of through a typical day in your life and what you might do?
Absolutely. So I started at FMJ in May, and for the first 7 months or so, I reported dayside. So my schedule would be roughly 10:30 to 6:30. I would create a story from scratch, and then I would pitch it live in our 6 o'clock show. So I would walk into work, start finding sources for a story that I'm working on, shoot my own video for it. What a lot of people don't know my job consists of is I'm my own cameraman, and I call my own sources. I edit my entire story together. So I'm a complete one-man band when it comes to my work. And a lot of people affiliate newscasters, especially women, unfortunately, as pretty faces who know how to talk. Sure. But it's so much more than that. I mean, have to find sources daily. I have to go out and actually shoot my own video, which is a lot of work for one person, but you kind of get in a rhythm of it. And then when I come back to the station, once I have all my interviews and everything like that, then I actually edit my video together and I edit my story together.
Okay.
And to top it all off, I write my own web story for it. And then for our 6 o'clock show, when I'm live, I set up my own live equipment wherever I'm at. And my entire live, broadcast, when the anchors do pitch it to me, it's completely myself. I set it up myself. And of course, unless I'm in, a dangerous area or it needs a 2-man band for whatever reason, then I'll have a photographer with me. But majority of the time I'm by myself the whole day. And it teaches you so many more skill sets. But now, since I'm in this evening anchor role, which I was fortunate to bring on, now my schedule is roughly 4 to midnight. And so usually what I'll do now is I'll still be live in our 6 o'clock show. So when I get in, I really have to hit the ground running because I'm live in our 6. And then usually I put together a story for the 11. Okay. So I'll still be, getting my own sources, shooting my own video. And it just really depends on the day. Like on Friday, I was putting together a story for our 11. We had a breaking news fire in downtown Youngstown. And so I picked up my things and I broke out to that news fire, and that just kind of was how my night went. And then, you get ready for the 11 o'clock show, you go over your entire anchor reads. Okay. And then now I finish off the night by anchoring the 11 o'clock news every weekday with Derek Stiers. So that's kind of the end of my night. And then I go home around midnight. So the schedule is very weird. Yeah. But I always say for a young person like me, it's nice. Yeah. So, okay. So I've been really enjoying it. But like I said, I really do it all at FMJ.
Yeah. I think a lot of what you just said there, a lot of people would never realize that. When I talked to Corey, who was in here, I know he would go to some games and set up his own camera and things like that. But, I guess I never realized the journalists outside doing actual stories outside of the sports or weather department might do that as well. So that's very interesting.
Absolutely. And it's pretty much every reporter at FMJ where they really take on their work by themselves. And especially us younger, we call it the new generation journalists. We are completely one-man band. And so, like I said, it teaches you a lot, and it teaches you multitasking and how to fit in that workload in an 8-hour shift. But you always manage to get it done, and it always makes the air, one way or another. Yeah. And it always looks good at the end of the day. So
that's really, really neat. So, being out in the field versus behind the anchor desk, is there one you favor more over the other? I'm guessing I know the answer to this, but...
I actually don't really know. They're just so different. I mean, don't get me wrong, on cold days where we're doing snow coverage or something, compared to being out in the field, compared to sitting behind a nice warm anchor desk, that's always nice. But I think I feel it's more rewarding when I actually go out and get that story and actually find valuable information for our viewers. But then anchoring is nice because you almost have, you're the face to the newscast. And so it's really nice being that true anchor of the show and, tossing to reporters, tossing to weather, and working with Derek Stiers is really nice too, to where it's just a great way to end the night. But I do also like reporting. So I really don't even know what my favorite would be, but this new role, which is nice, is I can report and I anchor in the same day. So I'm a reporter, and then around 10 o'clock, I get in that anchor mode to get ready for the 11. So it's the best of both worlds, really. But I would say both has its pros and cons for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess let me ask a little bit differently then. How do you prepare differently versus like you said with the fire the other day where you just had to drop everything and go versus, I guess you're more prepared when you're behind the anchor desk versus when you're going out in the field. Is that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say so. And all of our anchor reads, we help write them. Also, our producers kind of have a say in what goes in the show as well. Obviously, they're the mind behind the newscast. Okay. And so we work with them more to where we're fully prepared on exactly what we'll say. And unless it's a true breaking news situation, we are fully prepared and ready to deliver whatever is in our show. Whereas with reporting, it's different because I have to start from the ground up where, you know, I have to continue to communicate with my managers. Hey, this story isn't working out. Hey, this is the angle we should take now. So it's more brain work, I think, being a reporter, but also it's completely different from anchoring. So, you know, it takes skill to anchor. It takes different skill to report.
Sure.
But I would say it's a lot more work reporting, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like to ask this with, you know, people that come on, whether, you know, no matter what field they're in, but who did you sort of look up to, or maybe role model, you know, whatever it might be, who'd you look up to, you know, to get into this profession?
Yeah. So like I said, I've lived in Cleveland, North Royalton's my hometown. And so I grew up watching all of our Cleveland, you know, stations. So, you know, Channel 19, News 5, Fox 8, WKYC. And so I grew up watching the like Ramona Robinson, Sarah Shookman, Russ Mitchell, you know, Christy Capel, Stephanie Schaefer, just seeing these faces on TV where, like you said, right when we started the podcast, you know, you see these faces and you see these role models and you know, you think and you're like, maybe I could do that one day. And I think I don't really have a specific role model where I say, you know, I want to be them when I grow up.
Sure. Right.
But I think those local influencers really helped me, you know, realize
sort of like take different traits from different people.
Yeah. And made me realize, you know, if she can do it, maybe I can do that one day. And then nationally, you know, you see like the Today Show, Hoda, you know, Jenna, Savannah Guthrie, you see all of those people. And, you know, that's very big, you know, that's big network market. Right. But, you know, it's cool. Like, even watching them and saying, you know, I like how they say this, or I like how they word this that way. And I'm continuing, you know, to be inspired by people like that. So I wouldn't say I have a set role model, but definitely the local Cleveland anchors I looked up to. And even interning in a Cleveland market, you know, when I met all of the people that I grew up watching, I was like, nice to meet you. This is so weird, but you're so nice. And you're such a normal, average person, just like me, just like you. And so it's really nice, you know, meeting those people. So I would say, you know, Cleveland, and then obviously those network people who everyone aspires to be.
When you said Stephanie Schaefer, I've met Stephanie several times at different, it's actually the Dick Vitale Gala. It's down in Sarasota, Florida. And she's there every year.
Oh, really?
And it's really cool to like just be able to talk to like some Cleveland people down there, but she could not be any nicer. Yes. And she is just like an outgoing personality. And you can kind of see why people, you know, would generally get their news from her, because she's just a generally positive, energetic person.
And people know her, you know, Clevelanders know her, just like Youngstown people know who us local anchors are. I mean, obviously I'm fairly new, but you know, you put a face to these local anchors and it's almost like you think you know them, like you're friends with them.
Sure.
You know, like even with Stephanie Schaefer, if I saw her out ever, I would probably be like, hey.
Yeah, right.
You know, because they're in your home every day.
Yeah, so. Sure. Okay. Now, I got to ask this too, because you know, this show's live, but you know, we probably don't quite have the audience that you do. Have you ever had any, and this could be college, high school, whatever. Have you ever had any funny or unusual or unexpected or crazy things happen while you're on live?
I would say from a college standpoint, you know, us college kids are still working to get the degree. And so a lot of us aren't at the professional level yet. Sure. No one was. So I think what would always be funny is we would always have to toss to weather. And so we would always toss to the weather and it would be an ad lib scenario. And so my friends, I mean, we were all friends in college. It was a college level television station. So it would always be that awkward moment where you're tossing to weather and, you know, you're not picking up what the other person's saying and you're like, hopefully the snow holds off. We'll go to Weather Anchor, blah, blah, blah for this. And it's just, there's always those awkward moments. And even now, like taken to the professional level, like when Derek and I toss to Eric for weather, let's just say, you know, we accidentally may talk over each other or, you know, something awkward like that. Or even last night, you know, Derek said something like, oh, this weather is something we're really not expected to see with these below zero temperatures coming up. And I literally was like, yeah, it must be crazy. We'll toss it to Eric for the weather.
Right.
And so I wouldn't say there was any horrific, horrible, you know, experiences where it's just been so embarrassing. But I would say those little ad lib chats at the end, we always have like a funny ending story or like a lighthearted story to round out our show. So last night it was about pandas, you know, running around in the snow. And Derek and I always joke like, back and forth with each other. If you've ever seen the newscast, we always ended on a lighthearted note. And so sometimes those chats can be funny, but nothing embarrassing, I would say. So I'm lucky. I mean, knock on wood, I guess my time is coming where I'll have that horrible,
I don't want to
situation where it's so embarrassing, but I've been lucky to where it's just been, you know, awkward convos.
I guess I asked that in the sense of, because, you know, and this is probably off air, but you know, if you ever randomly have a thought in your head and it just makes you want to laugh, you know, maybe Derek's over there reading the news and you're just thinking about something random, which you're probably not because you're the consummate professional, I'm sure. But you know, I just think about that. Like, do you ever just want to bust out laughing like straight on the air?
I guess it depends. I mean, obviously if let's just say the reporter or something, like something's not working with the reporter. And you know, I think a lot of us at FMJ, we realize that everybody's human and stuff is just going to happen.
Sure.
But no, Derek and I will say things like we'll watch the commercials and you know, we'll always like say comments about those, or the show that's on before the newscast, whatever's on NBC, it actually plays in the studio. So as we're getting mic'd up for the show, whatever's on in the 10 o'clock hour, we're watching. And usually it's that new game show with Jane Lynch. What is that called?
Okay.
I forget what it is.
Yeah.
It's game, not Game of Games. I forget what it's called, but it's a funny show, and it's like a questionnaire show where you have to get the trivia questions right. Okay. And we always love like engaging with it and answering those questions. Okay. And we say our comments about the show and everything like that. And so yeah, we joke around and stuff.
Yeah, I've just wondered that because the thing that always makes me laugh on like TV shows or you know, parodies of TV shows you see in movies or whatever, you know, when the anchors, they always show them doing the paper shuffle at the end, and they're going back and forth like in Ron Burgundy or in Anchorman when they're just, you know, talking trash to each other. I always just think that that's pretty good stuff. So all right, this question came from a viewer, and they wanted to know your favorite TV or movie news personality. So like from you know, from any movie or TV show maybe you've ever watched. Yeah,
you know, before we started the podcast, we were talking about the morning show. I haven't seen it yet. It's a series, right? It's an actual. Yeah. So I haven't seen that yet, but I feel like that would be interesting to watch. So with Jennifer Aniston in that. So I'll try watching that. But I would say Groundhog Day is a classic. I mean, it's kind of relatable, like seeing what's the main character's name in
Phil Connors.
Yes. So seeing Phil acting like he is better than everybody else. Sure. He needs the nicer hotel room. And it's so not like that in the real world. I mean, we are just regular people like anybody else. Right. But I think that's funny. I mean, and plus today's Groundhog Day, right?
It is.
February 2nd. So I'd have to say that one. But yeah, that movie's hilarious always when I watch it. But it's funnier when you're actually in the business for some reason, when he talks to his producer and things like that. Right. So I'd say Groundhog Day. Okay. I'd say that one.
Okay. All right. So speaking of Groundhog Day, you know how the movie that he's kind of stuck in a loop and can't get out of it. Yeah. So this is random, and we'll come back to news related stuff here in a minute. But if you were stuck in a loop, you know, let's just for X amount of days, you know, what would you do or what would you want to do if you could do anything, I guess?
I guess it would be, I love traveling, so I would probably want myself to be somewhere where it's, not my usual place.
Sure.
So I've been to Europe a few times. So
nice.
If I were to redo a day every day, probably somewhere abroad.
Okay.
Maybe Italy or I'm Hungarian, so maybe Budapest, somewhere like that.
Okay.
That would be fun because I wouldn't care redoing the same day every day.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
I mean?
So, but I would get old. I would miss going back to work and everything like that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I love Youngstown, but this weather, February 2nd, not ideal. It'd definitely be somewhere warmer if we could.
Yeah, everyone always jokes, they're like, why didn't you get a job down in Florida or Georgia? I'm like, I don't know. I wanted to be close to family.
Yeah, the family aspect is huge.
Yeah, and Youngstown's been great. So, but the weather is very similar to what I grew up with. I think Cleveland gets it a little bit harder with the lakefront, but but I love Youngstown.
It'll all be over soon.
Hopefully.
We're less than a month away to March already.
The groundhog see is shadow.
Well, yeah, whether you believe it or not. See, my thing is, and you as a news person, there's always lights with the cameras. That thing's going to see its shadow no matter what, right?
I know. So. I was watching it this morning and he looks so scared. I'm like, that is so cute. Yeah. It's a funny tradition though. You got it. Really is.
And it's only an American holiday. So people in other countries,
they're like, what the hell is
wrong with you?
They're like, what is this American holiday?
Exactly.
Whatever.
So let me ask you a few sports questions since this is a sports show.
Let's
and then, I got some random ones in here too. So growing up in the Cleveland area, I'm guessing you're more of a Cleveland fan.
Absolutely.
So favorite teams.
I would say, no matter what sport it is, I always root for my Cleveland teams just because I grew up with them. My parents obviously were all Cleveland sports fans.
Okay.
But I would say attending an actual game, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are the most exciting. I mean, when you're in the queue or Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, which it is now called, it's more exciting and it's fun and you can go out around downtown and things like that. I've been to a Browns game only once.
Okay.
But the Browns, obviously, Cleveland fans, it's a different, you're a Cleveland sports fan,
I'm a big
right?
Cleveland fan.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Cleveland sports fans are just very passionate. I think that's a really good word to use, just so passionate. So, Browns games are also fun. I'd say the Indians are my least favorite just because it's not as exciting. You kind of sit there, get a nice tan.
It's like going to a picnic.
Yeah, you get a nice tan, eat some hot dogs.
Right.
But I'd say the Cleveland Cavs are my favorite.
Okay, yeah, that atmosphere there is great.
Absolutely.
So did you play any sports in high school?
So I actually didn't. People always joke because I'm pretty tall for a girl. I'm 5'9".
Okay.
And so people always say, so volleyball or basketball?
Sure.
And I'm like, neither.
That's okay.
Yeah, sports never really interest me, but I was a dancer growing up.
Okay.
So I was on my high school's dance team, basketball dance team, football dance team. We were a part of the marching band, which is a really big thing at Royalton. Our marching band is one of the best in the state. So I was able to be on the dance band front of that. We were called the Royalettes.
Okay.
So I did dance throughout my childhood and then up until high school. And then going into college, I kind of stopped dancing, but that was my sport. I love dancing. I would do it 5 days a week. And so no sports for me, but.
Well, you could say though, to be a good dancer, you have to be an athlete though. So,
absolutely.
It's a different, you're not necessarily competing against someone else, but I guess you're competing with yourself.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the NFL players try ballet? Have you ever seen that?
I've seen, some of them are, it's
hard for them.
Yeah.
It's hard for them. And yoga, I've also seen some like NFL, NBA players try and do yoga, and that's challenging for them too. But yeah, no, I only danced growing up, and it was really fun for me. I still miss it, to this day. So, but no athletic sports.
No, that's okay though. That's okay. So not playing any sports, but you do root for a lot of the Cleveland teams.
Yes.
Who are some maybe athletes that are some of your favorites?
Well, I think the LeBron era was the time in Cleveland where everyone loved the Cavs. And since the Cavs, I would say, are my favorite team. You know, I grew up when I graduated high school, that was when they won the championship.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was, yeah. So I graduated
16.
high school. Yeah. 16. And, that's when they won. And so, you know, I'm used to that team of Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, LeBron James,
Kyrie.
Yeah. When he was still there. And now it's weird seeing that whole championship team being broken up.
Yeah.
But that's how I know the Cavs. I mean, that's the team that I feel like everyone knows the Cavs by. And, you know, a lot of them are on their way. I think Dellavedova's back, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he had a concussion, I think, recently. But, yeah, he's still on the team. And Kevin Love's still around. I don't know for how long, but he's still around.
Yes. Yeah, I saw he just got engaged. But, yeah, so I would say that team is what I am the most passionate about. Like, okay, yeah, go Cavs. Like, that's the team.
Okay.
But other than that, you know, I'll root for the top players, you know, for the Indians, Browns, things like that. But like I said, the Cavs are my favorite.
Okay. Were you able to, I think I was in Florida when the parade was happening. Were you able to make it to that?
So we tried to. And so it was a group of my friends. We heard about how the traffic would be so bad. You would have to take the rapid into downtown. And so we tried, I think we got up at like 7 a.m. And it actually didn't. We made it to the rapid station in one of the suburbs close to Royalton going into downtown. And they said that the rapid would be about a 3-hour wait to even get onto the rapid.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually failed at going downtown. Okay. Yeah, we failed at it. And so it was just a waste of an attempt, but it was still fun. Yeah, we tried, but I mean that is insane that we couldn't even get down there. Yeah, so they said
something like 1 million, like 1.2 million, something like that.
Yeah, insane. So we tried, but we watched it on TV.
Okay. So. All right. So, you know, in baseball, when a batter's coming up to the plate, they do an intro song.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say you're going on to your newscast at 11, or you're doing a live report and they play a song for you to, you know, walk up to.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
So this is a total random one. Do you want to think about that, and I'll come back to that one?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like I don't have like a solid one.
Okay.
My favorite artist is Miley Cyrus.
Okay. You know, interesting.
I grew up watching the Hannah Montana era. That was right in my age group as a, you know, pre-teenager. And so I kind of grew up having this like love for her. And then she kind of developed her talents with my age. And so now her songs relate to that those 20, you know, age group, to where I'd say I'd probably play some Miley Cyrus. But when I actually am getting ready for the show, I actually listening to, I mean, this is going to be really lame, but I listen to very calming music.
No, that's all right.
To calm me down. Yeah. To just get me mellowed enough to just present the news and whatever we're talking about. Because usually it's politics, COVID, local crime, to where I'd say, I mean, this is such a lame answer, but I would say I actually do listen to calming music. But if I would have like a pep me up song, it would be a Miley Cyrus playlist.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Now, speaking of the news and sort of depressing news stories, does that affect you at all, either on air or off air after the fact?
So I think it depends how much work I did for the story. And so we've had a few local stories to where our you know, reporters at all stations throughout Youngstown really got emotionally invested in these stories that we would continue to follow up on every day, local traumatic stories. Sure. And a lot of times it would make me emotional, or, you know, because you put your heart into the story and you're getting all of this information that's oftentimes very traumatic and very disturbing about some of these hard hitting stories, to where it does bother me time to time. But I feel like you get into this rhythm where your goal is to just deliver that news to the community. And so that's what your job is. And you just have to, you know, deliver that information. But I would say I've been surprised how many times I have gotten emotional with stories or how it's affected me, because it is traumatizing. And a lot of the things you see, I mean, even that house fire on Friday, I was doing this Facebook Live and I'm seeing these ambulances being pulled away, and it definitely takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of just maybe calmness and realizing, everything will be okay. But it is hard, and you're delivering this news and this information that maybe these people that are involved with will see one day, and so you really want to make sure that you're delivering it the best you can.
Absolutely.
So I would say, yeah, absolutely. And I think it affects everybody, and of course it's our job, but no, it does affect everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say that has to be one of the most difficult aspects of the job, especially when it's a negative or a tragedy or something like that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Let's shift to a more positive note then.
Let's do it.
All right. Total random questions. Just going to be this or that. So just pick one of the two.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to throw these at you real fast.
Okay.
And if you want to elaborate, go for it. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Okay. And I guess maybe you've already answered this one, but early morning person or late night person?
Late night person.
Okay. Country or rap?
I'm going to have to say rap.
Okay. Would you rather call or text?
See, I love talking to people, but texting in our crazy world where everything moves at 1,000%, I'd say texting's easier, but I love a good phone call with my parents or with my grandma.
Okay. So random. Pen or pencil?
Pen, but okay. I have a calendar in my on my desk that has all of like the things that I'm doing for the day, and I write down my stories, and I use pencil for that because I like erasing it if I don't actually put that story on the air. Okay, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Winter or summer?
I like both, but I would say summer.
Okay. Beer or wine?
Wine, for sure. Any type of red wine is great.
Okay. And now I guess this question with COVID, staying in or going out?
See, I would always answer going out. I love being social. I love experiencing new places, restaurants. But I would have to say staying in. I mean, you have to, right?
I guess in this climate, yeah.
But I'm very excited until, for the day we can safely go out and mingle and be with friends.
And hopefully hopefully it corresponds with the changing of the weather too, getting nicer,
wouldn't that be nice?
Being able to,
yes,
be out.
Wouldn't that be nice?
So we talked about going to games earlier. Would you rather, if you're watching a game, would you rather be there in person or watch it on TV?
Oh, be there in person. Okay. I would say I almost lose my interest in watching it on TV unless it's a big game like the Browns, obviously. Sure, we watched that their entire, end of their season. But no, I would say being there in person. Okay. I mean, you have to, right? You have the food,
I think so.
The atmosphere.
For me, especially like you said with the Cavs, I had a partial season ticket, so I went to like 12 games or something with the Cavs. I actually sat next to Gloria James and his daughter. I can't remember. Zuri. Yeah, like we literally sat next to LeBron's family, like 3 rows behind the bench. They were awesome. They were so cool.
Was Savannah there?
Savannah was there. One of the games we were there. Now, like the seats were either like at the end of the row on one side or the end of the row. So we actually only sat next to them one time.
Oh my gosh.
But that was a pretty cool experience because that was in 2018. So it was kind of towards the end of his run there.
Yeah.
And, I just remember her saying stuff like, Lamont, let's put this Jetty kid in. Let's try him, just like different things. So she was actually kind of like shouting out different things to the coaching staff.
So cool. Yeah, the Megatron and all that stuff. It's so cool. You have to be there in person.
Yeah,
that's always better.
But for the Browns, if the weather's like this, I think I'd rather be home and watch it on TV.
Oh yeah, I'm a freeze baby for sure. So I don't know how much I'd like the Browns, when it would get cold out. But the Indians is so nice being outside too.
Right.
Because it's that summer feeling. Eating some hot dogs.
And hopefully they're letting people back in the stadium this year. I'm not quite sure how that's going to go, but hopefully.
They haven't said anything.
I don't know if they've announced it yet. So I think fingers crossed that that's going to happen.
True.
And then this is the 10th this or that. So since this is Super Bowl, Buccaneers or Chiefs this weekend?
I would say Buccaneers.
Okay.
Because Tom Brady is on the team. I don't know.
It's hard to root against, or it's hard to go against him with everything he's done, but
true. I would say Tom Brady, just because I feel like everyone's a fan of Tom Brady.
Okay.
So I'll go with the Buccaneers.
Okay.
But preferably neither team, because not the not the Browns, I guess.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay. So during just a few more questions here, just during this COVID time we're living in, how has that affected, how you kind of report the news or deal with the news and things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of times, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was shut in. No one wanted to even, a lot of places wouldn't even have work in person. Everyone would be working remotely at wherever we would try to interview with. And so we really got accustomed to Zoom and Skype and FaceTime as the new norm for interviewing sources. And it comes in handy, actually, because instead of driving to Niles for an interview, I can just Zoom with them, email them the Zoom link, and then there's my interview, already recorded into our system. So that has been the biggest change. But, I miss being this, I miss the non-COVID era, our normalcy, because, I have never experienced Youngstown, and I haven't worked a day where everything is normal. Sure. And so you don't get to be out in the community as much. I mean, whenever I would do stories on food drives or be in an area where there were a lot of people, I would be excited because I would want to talk with people, and I would prefer to interview with people in person. Sure. So I would say the biggest difference is Zooming with sources. Okay. But it comes in handy because it helps with time management and everything like that. But it has its pros and cons, because I would love to be out more in the community, right? Compared to what I'm doing now. But obviously we have to stay safe, and our station is very good with saying your safety is the number one priority. But I do hope that we get back to normal soon, because I don't know Youngstown. I don't know Youngstown pre-COVID. Okay. So it'll be nice to actually be a reporter out in the community. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So let me ask this then, of Youngstown and what you've experienced so far. Do you have any kind of favorites, whether it's food or places to go or anything like that?
Yes. So I would say Blue Wolf Tavern is my favorite local restaurant. Okay. It's right around the corner from where we live. And so that is nice. I mean, we always go there for food, drinks, whenever we just, want to go out to eat. We're like, let's just go over to Blue Wolf. That's our go-to. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have my favorite Mexican place is Tequila Jalisco in Canfield. That place is my go-to. Other than that, I would say Blue Wolf is my favorite. Okay. But it's literally in my bio on our station website. She loves going out to eat at local restaurants. I love trying new places literally every weekend. We went to Marino's Italian Grill this weekend in Austintown. Okay. I'm a foodie. I love eating. So I will eat anything under the sun. I'll try whatever. All right. We went to Mizu not too long ago. Okay. So I love really anywhere. Yeah, sure. But I'd say our go-to is Blue Wolf.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess the one thing that Youngstown can do no wrong is food. You have you have unlimited amount of choices there.
Yeah, and I used to work, Belleria is a Youngstown chain, obviously, and I used to work at the Kent Belleria as a waitress. Okay. And so I'm biased, but I still think that the Kent Belleria is a little bit better than any other location. But it is nice, getting Belleria from time to time too. It's like a home away from home, and working over there in Kent. So, but like you said, Youngstown, it's not a food drought. No. It is their food choices are awesome here. So
how about, since you're from Cleveland then, how about favorite place to go in Cleveland?
I would say my favorite restaurant is Great Lakes Brewing Company. It's in Ohio City. That place is probably, you go there, on birthdays and things like that. I would say that's my favorite place. Okay. We also have a nice little place in North Royalton. It's called 3 Spot because we're on Route 3. And so Three Spot is like the local place to go to. You know, it has its basic like burgers, wings, beer, things like that.
Okay.
So that's the nice local place. But Great Lakes Brewing Company in Cleveland is probably my go-to favorite.
Okay. All right. Very good. And then last thing I'm going to ask you, I guess, since you're, you know, I guess with COVID and stuff, we're home more often. Mm-hmm. So what are you kind of either watching or listening to, or you know, what's your COVID activity to watch or listen to?
So a lot of people make fun of me that I don't love watching movies. And so I really only like series, like docuseries, things like that. And so I have this strange obsession with the British royal family. So I'll watch The Crown a lot. Any type of related movie or docuseries, you know, things like that have to do with the British royal family I love. I have a strange obsession.
Interesting. Where did that come from, you think?
I don't know. I think like the whole modern day like princess carried from my teenage years. And I just think like Kate Middleton, Meghan Markle, they're such role models to young women. I mean, they're so successful, put together, you know, style icons they are. So yeah, I would say like watching The Crown is my favorite right now. We're like almost done with season 4, which is disappointing because season 5 doesn't come out until I think 2023.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Maybe 2022. Yeah, so I would say I got a little bit more into Netflix, but I really try and keep myself off of the screen, you know, going out as much as I can, meaning, you know, going for walks, things like that, to where you're not too drilled into the computer, not too drilled into the TV. But I feel like work keeps me busy too, where I don't really have that much downtime.
I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, before we go, can you tell people how they can, you know, find you on social media and things like that?
Yes. Yeah. So I think wherever, you know, whatever social media platform you go to, just search Erin Simonek. My go-to every single day is I literally spell my name for sources. So I'll say ErinSimonek, just for sources to like make sure they're talking to the right person and everything like that. So yeah, if you just search Erin Simonek, you should find it. Erin WFMJ is my Twitter. And then Facebook, you know, Instagram, things like that. Just Erin Simonek.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you. I know you don't even start work for a couple hours and you came down
some time to
earlier.
Kill.
So I appreciate that. And, you know, you're doing a great job. Keep up what you're doing. And
thank you, Justin.
You know, we appreciate you coming down. So, thank you again. And we're going to close out the show now. But basically, like I said, on Thursday's show is going to be pretty much dedicated to the Super Bowl. So we're going to get more into that then. So again, thank you to Erin Simonek. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Mario in the back. Everyone have a great day. We will see you on Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos and the word about us. Thank you.